Bonjour, mes amis. I trust you are well. Thank you very much for inviting us here today. My name is Captain Albert, and I have with me my protege, Soma Fagel.
Hello.
Soma has just undertaken a program of study with me, and she will be soon learning much in theology, philosophy, scriptural criticism, and both patristic and modern ecclesiology.
Those are big words, Cardinal. Are you sure everyone here knows what you are talking about?
Well, of this I have no doubt. But I should perhaps let you tell them what it is you're learning in your own words.
Oh, thanks, Cardinal. Well, basically what I am doing with the Cardinal is learning about the Bible, what great people who have studied it think about it, and what the church in old times and now can do with all that we have learned and what we are still learning about.
At least you don't mince your words, Soma.
Well, I try not to. I believe very much in plain speaking, especially when it comes to the sermon.
Very true.
I should also say that I am just starting, so I really don't know a lot. But I do hope to be able to understand the giant words that the Cardinal uses.
Well, Soma, you already know much. Besides, it is good that you remind me not to use big words, especially when I talk to people outside of my profession.
Like when a doctor talks to me using all those inflated medical jargon that I have no hope of understanding.
No, I certainly don't get paid enough to be able to do that. At any rate, we have been invited here to present on the fruit of the Spirit. Let me read first a small selection of Paul's letter to Galatia, 5:22 and following. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now then, sir, what do you think of that?
Well, I think that seems pretty straightforward.
In what way?
They are clearly laid out as to what the fruit of the Spirit is. All we have to do is practice them.
I would most certainly agree. But in relation to that, are you saying it is easy to do all of this?
Well, I guess.
So if we use self-control as an example, you could have easily controlled yourself when I was given that box of candy, and you ate one with the coconut filberts, after you bit into them to see what they were.
But I just love them so much. I ate one, then I couldn't control. I mean, I love them too much. That is,
Ah, my friend, you are still young and your faculties of reason and restraint are still growing. But you proved my point, that it is not always easy to practice these, especially when one is tempted by things that one enjoys more than is healthy.
Yeah, I did feel kind of sick after that. But then what do we do? Was it that much easier for the people of Paul's time to do all this?
Good heavens, no. In actuality, it was far harder to do these things. Now that you mention that, it brings up an important matter.
Like what?
The Roman Empire. How much do you know about the Roman Empire at this time, Soma?
Well, I know that there was this fellow named Caesar, and that he makes that.
What? No, my friend. I think you are confusing a few different things. And for the record, I'm not actually sure if Caesar had anything to do with the loosely named Caesar Sabbath. His exploits in Gaul and Rome are far more interesting, both to me and to history. Not exactly what you do.
Fine. But what does the Roman Empire have to do with all this anyway?
All of what Paul says here is completely opposite to what the people of the Roman Empire generally believed.
What do you mean by that?
Everything that Paul mentions here is not what the people living in this time and place believe in or practice. They would not do many of these things because they would consider them wrong.
But I still don't understand. I know that the Romans didn't believe in Christ, but I don't see why they wouldn't be kind or generous or something like that.
Well, it is not to say that the people weren't nice, so to speak, but to be gentle in the Christian sense, or to be about peace, or even to be faithful in the sense of love, was not considered to be a Roman virtue. In fact, it was considered weakness in many ways.
Then what were Roman virtues? What would they think is not weakness?
The word virtus.
Huh?
Virtus. It is actually the Latin word for our word virtue. But the Roman ideas of virtue, or virtus, were that of power and domination. That is one of the reasons why Roman culture was so widespread. Not only would they defeat a conqueror's army, then they would begin to force the Roman way of life and relieve some people they took over.
So peace was out.
Most definitely. There was hardly a decade that passed that Rome did not engage in some military conflict or another. Even during the so-called Pax Romana, or the Peace of Rome, she was still fighting to protect her borders against barbarians, raiders, etc. To be a good Roman leader was to prove yourself a good military commander and soldier.
And I suppose you can't follow people who are always trying to take over another people, or proving how good they are at fighting. Gentle.
I wouldn't.
Wow.
Indeed.
But wait, you told me that there was a kind of philosophy that had some of the same ideas that Christianity has.
Ah, what do you remember of that?
Well, that it was called Stoicism, and that it was a way of thinking that included being humble, not complaining about small things, not worrying what others think about you, being respectful to others, offering others hospitality, not eating and drinking too much, and a lot of other things that we find in the Bible, right?
Very, very good, Sona. And just for the record, do you remember the names of some of the philosophers who thought that?
I remember a Marcus Aurelius and someone named Seneca.
Well done.
Thanks. But at any rate, I was going to ask that since they do not believe in Jesus, or even really know God the way we do, then how could they also hold to those ideas? Could they really know the fruit of the Spirit too?
In a simple sense, no.
So then how was it that they were still doing and thinking those things if they didn't know what the fruit of the Spirit is?
Simple. Natural law.
Oh, Cardinal! This is not the place for all the heavy philosophy stuff.
Ah, now wait, Sona. Paul says in this letter, written directly to the Christians in the city of Rome herself, a translator by the name of J.B. Phillips puts it best, I think. It is not familiarity with the law that justifies a man in the sight of God, but obedience to it. And the Gentiles, who have no knowledge of the law, act in accordance with it. By the light of nature, they show that they have a law in themselves, for they demonstrate the effect of a law operating in their own hearts. Their own consciousnesses endorse the existence of such a law, but there is something which condemns or commends their actions.
So what it is saying is that there is still something that drives people to do the right thing, even if they don't know Christ.
I think so. I think there is still a God-given consciousness or ability or nature to act in a way one could consider good. That is why a non-Christian Stoic may have the same virtues as a Pauline Christian.
Pauline Christian?
A Christian of Paul's preaching.
Oh, okay. So now that we know that other people can still do godly things, what is it that makes us different? Why does Paul talk about the fruit the way he does if we already know something about it?
Because we, as Christians, have been taught of the true source of this fruit. We, through Christ and his restoration of our souls, know where it comes from. With that, it becomes that much more important that we see such fruit growing from us. We know where it is our power comes from. We know how it is and from whom it is that we grow.
So we are like a flower that knows who is watering it.
But yet, we are the fruit and we know who is the vine.
Christ.
Yes. As he says, I